This is happening all the time in the life of a software developer, especially one developing mobile apps. The app you create needs to download data from somewhere over the internet. And the developer needs to write code to keep that data organized and nicely displayed on the screen for the user. But the data that arrives into the app, usually in the JSON format, looks like a very complicated mess, at least at first. Before writing any code to process that data, it needs to be truly investigated. What is the structure of the app we will receive? What data type is each of the properties of? Are there any arrays? Any nested objects? When these questions are answered, only then a developer can proceed to writing code that will get to use that data. A serious study of both some sample data and the API documentation are absolutely necessary. In the previous tutorial, we have started working on a SwiftUI project that will download weather data from a company in London called Open Weather. And we took a look at what kind of data the Open Weather API is offering to us by simply typing an entire API call in the browser. But this messy information received back does not look very easy to understand, does it? Are there any better ways to investigate this JSON data? Of course there are, and we will tackle a few of those ways in this video. Let's get started. Besides just using the browser to read JSON data, like we just did, we will cover in this video 4 other ways to do the same. We can use browser extensions, we can use the terminal, some online services, or better yet, specialized software apps installed on local machine. Let's start with the first one, browser extensions. If we want to stay in the realm of internet browsers to investigate an API call and the JSON data that it returns to us, we can do that by installing a browser extension. We will still need to type in or copy-paste a full API call in the browser's address bar, just like any web address. But when an extension is installed, it will detect when the response received back is not HTML, but rather JSON, and it will take that JSON data and format it in a more human-readable form. The extension will use indentation to show nested objects and different colors to show different data types. Browser extensions for Safari can be found in the App Store. Just search for JSON and you will find many of them. The one I use often is called JSON Peep for Safari by Lev Brock, a product designer based in Moscow, Russia. If you are using the Chrome browser, which also allows extensions, a good Chrome extension example is JSON Viewer by Tullio Ornelas, a staff engineer at Spotify in Stockholm, Sweden. There are plenty other extensions, of course, but I do like this one because it allows for expanding and collapsing of nested objects, which is a great feature allowing to focus temporarily on only parts of the API response as needed. How about instead of using a browser, we use the terminal that comes with any Mac operating system? Can we do that? Of course we can. The command to be used in the terminal is called curl. It can take an argument that will be the full API call we need to test, in quotation marks. Of course, the output will not be very pretty, but it is one way to see what kind of data an API call returns. Now, let's take a look at some online services. If we do not want to install any browser extensions or do not want to use the terminal either, we can take advantage of some of the online services out there. A simple Google search for JSON Viewer online will most likely give us a lot of different options. The first one in my Google search results is one from Hungary, provided by Gabor Turi, available at jasonviewer.stack.hu. You will need to pass JSON data received after making an API call in the Text tab. Then click on the Viewer tab to see the same data in a nice format, much more easy to understand. It even gives you the ability to collapse and expand nested objects. There are plenty of other online services providing this feature, such as, for example, codebeautify.org or the one available at jasoneditoronline.org, to name just a few. Now, if none of these options are interesting to you, my personal choice for dealing and investigating JSON data is to install a custom app on my local machine, and my favorite one is called Postman. Postman is advertised as the collaboration platform for API development, and for good reason. It is available for free at postman.com. Once you sign in and install it on your local machine, using it makes your life much more easier than any of the previous methods we have covered so far. Instead of using a question mark and ampersand characters to construct an URL, Postman allows entering the arguments in a table form with columns for key and for values, which is much more easier to write and to edit later. Postman will take those values and construct a valid URL for us before sending it over the internet to the destination. When we get an API response, we can either choose to see the response in a raw format, or better yet in a pretty format, they call it, just like some of the browser extensions and online services we have researched earlier. Nested objects can be collapsed and expanded as needed, of course. More than that, an app like Postman allows you to save API calls, so you can easily recall them later without trying to remember the base URL and all of the arguments. A time saver feature. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. Postman offers a lot more features than those I described in this video. If you need to work often with API calls, I strongly recommend installing Postman and getting familiar with this app. Thank you for watching this short video, and I hope to see you all in the next one.